Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894. I'm Hugh. I've got Dara and Joe here with me for the City versus Dortmund review. A 2-1 win for the Blues in the Champions League quarterfinal. It's the first time we've ever won the first leg of a Champions League quarterfinal, which is quite a staggering statistic if you ask me, and considering how many times we've been there. But Dara, I'm going to come to you first. What are your thoughts overall on the game last night?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were pretty good. I mean, our mentality seemed to shift a lot, especially from last year, where we look in a good position coming into the next one. Our goals were great. I thought it was a decent performance, but if we play like that against bigger teams, we're going to end up getting knocked out.
Yeah, I thought there was a lot of points to take away from that game, both negative and positive, really, whatever way you want to spin it. Joe, what did you think?
I think the stats compared to if you watch the game tell a different story. Because if you look at things like XG, you know, it says we deserve to win the game, but when you watch the game, the amount of times we just kept making mistakes, which I mean, it's just typical City, I guess you could say. It's we're our own worst enemy at times, and if we could cut out these mistakes, then I'm sure we'd have a good chance at winning this. But playing like this, I'm not sure.
The first goal of the game came after 20 minutes. Kevin De Bruyne, who I think it's fair to say we'll all agree stole the show last night. He was a man of the match, and he's obviously this morning just announced that he'll be staying at the club for a first, bringing him to the age of I think 35 at City, which is an absolutely phenomenal thing to have players like De Bruyne sticking with us for that long, and we have plenty of them now in the past, like Silva, Aguero, company. So it's great to see this continuation of club legends. But he got the first goal last night. It was fantastic build to play after 20 minutes of kind of like back and forth, both teams trying to get a feel for each other. Dortmund were set up really well defensively. They're moving side to side really, really well, and they're attacking with threat as well. And it was just kind of a matter of who would break the deadlock and who would get the first goal. And he obviously finished it off. He started in the middle of the park. He made a bursting run through the middle, and he set it up to Foden on the left, who put it across to Mahrez, who did really well to keep it in. And De Bruyne was there to finish it off. Dara, what did you think of that goal? And of course, De Bruyne's overall play last night?
If you look at it, right, they showed at halftime the amount of space, the amount of ground he covers on such a short amount of time is unreal. Like we've seen it before, but he not only does he create goal, he finishes it off as well. And he was like, it just kind of summed up his performance. Really, he was the only player really to me that stood out a lot for me, who was playing on top of their game, and the goal itself, just I thought it was brilliant.
Joe, what did you make of it?
He's shown again that there were some people saying that we might play better without him. There was a few of them shots, especially when he came back from that injury. There was a few people saying that he couldn't play with Gundogan as well. I think he shows that he can do that. And to me, I think if we are going to play that false nine, he's the go-to man, because again, he's shown yet again that he's everywhere. He can do everything. I mean, should he have had an assist? Maybe. Possibly. I mean, there was obviously Foden who missed a few chances as well, but, he got that man of the match award, and he was definitely the best player on the pitch last night.
Yeah, I feel without him last night in the pitch, we wouldn't have got that win, the 2-1 win. He was simply everywhere. You said yourself in the past, Joe, that you think maybe we play better without him, but it's through games like last night and in recent weeks as well. It really puts into perspective how just crucial he is to that team. You mentioned Phil Foden there a second ago as well, who will get on in a few minutes because he obviously was a big talking point last night. But I want to mention the defense briefly. Diaz in particular, Rodri as well. Dara, I want to get your thoughts on these guys because obviously we only conceded the one goal, but there were quite a few shaky moments. Diaz is a player we've relied heavily on for solidity at the back and to boost confidence into the rest of the team. And he had a few kind of moments whereby you're kind of going, oh, that's not what we'd expect of Diaz. He gave the ball away once or twice, and I hate bringing it up for him because it's not his finest moment. But obviously he had that battle with Haaland where Haaland managed to physically get the better and get through on goal. Give me your analysis of that whole situation, the defense in total, and of course Diaz too.
I mean, if there's one positive you can look at, even if Diaz was poor, John Stones was fucking brilliant, right? The way he was the one that silenced Haaland. I mean, the only time Haaland got a sniff really was when he put Diaz on his arse. But Diaz is a bit poor. Rodri wasn't getting the ball out of his feet at all. There was a time where he was dribbling around the box for what felt like about half an hour and didn't pass it. Then when he finally did pass it, he gave it straight back to Dortmund. They nearly scored from it. But Diaz again a bit shaky, but it still brought out the best in Stones. I think Stones copped onto it about maybe 20 minutes in, said, I need to put in a big shift there. And he put in a big shift, and that's all you can really hope for, really, isn't it?
Yeah, Stones definitely showed a massive, massive level of maturity. And the thing is with Diaz, you have to remember, whilst we do rely on him so heavily because he is a fantastic player and a great leader, he is still so young. Do you know what I mean? And you're allowed to make mistakes and you're allowed to learn. And for this to be in a club like City and playing a stage of this competition, it's still a whole new experience for him. I mean, you can't just expect him to just take all that on his shoulders and absolutely run with it every single time. So there's no doubt he will learn from that and bring it in even to next week. But Joe, I want to ask you about a controversial decision, which was Jude Bellingham's possible goal. He was put one-on-one with Ederson on the edge of the box. Ederson came out. Some say Bellingham should have been given the benefit of the doubt and believe there was no foul committed and he should have been allowed to go on and put the ball in the back of the net, which he did, but the referee blew the whistle beforehand. In my personal opinion, I believe it probably is a goal and Bellingham should feel hard done by. I don't feel he committed a foul on Ederson and he should have been, given the goal, should have stood, and arguably it should have been two each and they should have had two-way goals looking back in hindsight. What are your thoughts on that situation?
I think most of us, not all of us, but most of us agree that that is a goal. It's perfectly fine. On the replay, he's got the ball, and then there's a bit of connection with Ederson on the follow through where he actually kicks Bellingham because he's trying to kick the ball. I think the referee all night was shocking. Again, that's something that I think we can all agree on. He was shocking all night. I think the only reason why the goal didn't stand is because, again, like you said, he blew the whistle before the ball went in the net, so you can't reverse a decision because the game's already technically stopped. That phase of play is over. So we got incredibly lucky because you look back at it and you go, that's not a foul. That's a perfectly acceptable goal. If you get one like that disallowed that you score, you're fuming. And I think Dortmund will feel real hard done by that.
Yeah, if I was a Dortmund fan, I said it last night in the stream, even when in the height of the emotions, I was still reasonable enough to say if you're Bellingham or you're a Dortmund fan or whatever, you feel really, really hard done by there. But like you mentioned, luck in the competition, I think at this stage of the competition, luck is a massive, massive factor in it. And I think it's fair to say over recent years, we have not had any luck in the Champions League quarterfinals. The referee was shocking. I think it kind of worked in our favour for the most part. Dara, what did you make of that? There was obviously the penalty decision possible for Rodri in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all in unison agree that it's not a penalty because of the fact he isn't holding his face when there's no contact with his face whatsoever. So that didn't work in his favour. But there is a certain amount of contact, but there's not enough. I don't think personally there was enough of them going down.
Yeah, no, it was. I think at first glance, I thought possible penalty there for Rodri, but looking at the replays, it was kind of maybe a bit of a soft dive from Rodri. I think Emre Can still got the yellow card for it, which I'd be a bit upset if I was Chan, but I think the referee will put that down to back talk. But I want to mention Dortmund's goal. Marco Reus scored that for them late in the second half. And at that stage, you're starting to think our luck has run out and we genuinely are cursed in this competition. Because although we made a few sloppy mistakes defensively and possibly weren't as clinical as we could have been going forward, we were riding our luck, I think it's fair to say, for a lot of the game. And he put them one each on the scoreboard and gave them that away goal. And like I said, I felt we were the curse is real and it's there. Joe, what did you make of that goal and what were you thinking at the time?
To be honest, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking, we're cursed. This always happens to us. It wasn't a good sign. I think defensively we were a bit poor. We kind of fell asleep on our right-hand side and allowed them to get in really easily. It's a good finish, take nothing away. It's probably, they deserved that 100%. You can't say they didn't. They were on top of us at that point, I'd say. And it just so happens to be one of them moments again where Rice hasn't scored a Champions League goal since, I think, 2018. So it's one of them where you kind of go, well, he's ended his drought, and it had to be against us.
Yeah, we have a real habit of bringing players' careers back to life. Don't we? Players, you always hear stats that this guy hasn't scored in X amount of years or months, and he just so happens to score against us. But you're right. I think it's no more than Dortmund deserved. I think, looking as a neutral, you would say Dortmund definitely deserved an away goal to bring back to Germany with. But what I found most impressive about City's was their reaction to that goal. I feel if you look at most recent years when we played, say, Lyon or Tottenham, I don't know about Liverpool because we were fairly thumped in that time, but definitely Lyon and Tottenham, when a decision didn't go in our way or we gave away a goal in that manner, at a crucial stage of the game, the heads would drop, the players would feel possibly a bit hard done by. But what impressed me most was the reaction to the goal. It was kind of like okay, we conceded this goal. It's it's an away goal. It's a big deal, but let's stick to our game plan. What we were doing was working. We just weren't being clinical. And Phil Foden was the man who wasn't being clinical up until he got the winner of the game, Dara. He missed 2 or 3 opportunities throughout the game, but I still think his overall play was actually phenomenal. Looking back on it, at the time, if you guys at home watched our live watch along, I was in the height of the emotions. I was very critical of players and they're making mistakes. I was shouting this, I was shouting that, but I've calmed down and I've reflected and I realized that certain players who I was possibly being a bit hard on at the time were actually really, really good. Foden obviously nutmegging players out in the left wing. He was involved in some really good build-up play. He was just really unfortunate not to put 2 or 3 away. On another day, he does have a hat-trick or so, but he did get that all-important winner. Dara, talk me through Phil Foden's goal, of course, and his overall performance, because I feel he was a massive part of the functioning team last night.
See, what I said earlier was that Bruyne was the only one on top of his game, and I still do stand by that. If Foden is on the top of his game, he gets a hat trick with the positions he was put in, and like his build of play was some of the best in the pitch, and like it's stuff you'd see from the players at the top of the game, and he's just proven how good he is. But he's what you said, he nutmegged the Who. There was a good bit of play where he just got past players, bet them like they weren't even there. He was actually crucial in the first goal as well, but the only thing that let him down yesterday was his finishing. But it's a good thing that he copped on to it by the end and got that goal.
Yeah, obviously when he missed 2 or 3 chances, it was through possible force. I think he was trying too hard to thump the ball in the back of the net. But when he scored that overall winner, it was almost like, okay, I have the maturity, I have the experience under my belt at such a young age to know that I have this other chance now to win the game. I'm just going to pass it into the far corner and just get the job done. No force, no nothing. And maturity is an absolute huge factor in Foden's game. For such a young man, he has such high levels of maturity, and I think that really stands to him in fixtures like last night, where things aren't going his way. Maybe a younger, more inexperienced, less mature player, the head would have dropped and the gaffer would have taken him off. But Pep obviously showed the faith as well in Foden to leave him on the pitch, knowing there's still more to come from him. Joe, what did you make of him?
I think he was very, very good last night, up until his final product, his end product, when it got into a shooting position. I think that ball for the first goal, I think possibly to overhit. Mahrez did well to keep it in, pull it back. Obviously, that's 1-0. But yeah, he had a few shots. He probably should have scored. I think there was one around 67 minutes, something like that, where I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Walker who got down the right-hand side and pulled it back, and it was practically a tap-in, and he just hits it straight at the keeper. You know, it's one of those, you hit it either side, it goes in, but he hits it straight down the middle. So, I mean, the fact he didn't celebrate can show that he's kind of disappointed. You know, he's happy that he scored the goal, but he's kind of disappointed that he hasn't come away with a bit more, which kind of shows the level that he's at now, the level which he regards himself in now.
I think it's kind of a bittersweet moment for Phil Foden in the sense that he didn't celebrate because, like you said, it's probably correct. He was unhappy with his overall finishing on the night. But I think what he can take away in a positive is his level of maturity and his sheer character to get back into the game and keep your head focused on the game plan and believing in your ability and what you can do. But overall, for City, I think there's positives and negatives to be taken from it. The positives outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. The negative, obviously, being we did ship an away goal, and that's a massive, massive factor in the mindset of Dortmund going into next week. They'll firmly believe this tie is still wide open for them to go through. But from a City perspective, and particularly from City fans who watch these games year in, year out, now quarterfinals and last 16s, and whenever we've been knocked out, there seems to be a different mindset, and there seems to be more belief and focus on the game plan and not letting our heads drop when things aren't going our way. Would you agree with that, Dara?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was just, I think I said at the start, the mentality, like last season, we conceded that goal, we could end up conceding another 1 or 2 before the end. It was just, the character we showed was immense last night, and hopefully we can use it, we can carry it into the next game.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. On another year, we concede 2 or 3, but now I think from last night we can say on another day, which is hopefully next week, we score 2 or 3, maybe even more. I mean, there's for the amount of chances we did create, and Phil Foden himself will probably agree with me if he was to have this conversation, that on another day he scores, at least 1 or 2 more of those chances, and all of a sudden we're 3 or 4 goals up going into the second leg, and the tie is essentially in bed. But next week is the next day, and hopefully it'll work out from there, and we can march on to the semi-final. But like I said, this tie is still wide open. Dortmund will have firm belief they can go through, because when you have players like Haaland, and of course Royce is going to take massive confidence from scoring last night, that can contribute in that way, and Sancho may possibly be back as well. there's no reason they can't compete and come with a fighting chance. But listen, we're gonna wrap up this video there. It was a fantastic game, really enjoyable, I'd say, from a neutral perspective. We're just delighted that we got to get that 2-1 win that we carry over to Germany next week. The game is going to be mad next week. The nerves will be high again because there's so much at stake. But listen, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. We hit our target of 175 subscribers, and the support has been fantastic. You see all the names going up below us in the bar there. That's all our Discord members. It's free to join. We talk about City all day, every day. Predicted lineups, player ratings, etc., etc. So click the link in the description if you want to join us there. Thanks a million for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.